What's going on, swim fans? Welcome to an exciting episode of Whiteboard Wednesday, and in today's video, it's a special one for you guys. We're breaking down what is the fastest possible 50-meter freestyle, and in this video, we're gonna walk through some of the science behind forecasting what is actually possible for someone to go in a 50-meter freestyle. I'm gonna break down some history of the 50 free and the progression, and what we could theoretically see a swimmer go both on the men's side and the women's side in the 50-meter freestyle. I'm gonna break down how you can actually apply this to your own races, and not just the 50 freestyle, but really any discipline. And we're gonna see what we can learn from the best swimmers in the world. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ksebati. I'm the co-founder and CEO of My Swim Pro, and on this channel and at our company, we help swimmers around the world improve their performance and health both in and out of the water. So if you're looking to swim faster and smarter than ever before, you've come to the right place. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know in the comments what you think. Now let's get right into it. And I'm gonna go over a little bit of history to share what the current world record is in the 50-meter freestyle, how fast that actually means swimmers are going, and then we're gonna break it down with a little bit of science and math. So I hope you guys like math. All right, here we go. The current world record in the men's 50-meter freestyle long course meters is 20.91. That was set by Cielo of Brazil in 2009. If you guys remember, that was the era of the super suits. We had two guys go under 21 seconds for the first time in 2009. Absolutely insane. That still stands as of 2020, the time of this video, as the current world record. Now in short course meters, it's a little bit faster. Remember, we've got the turn, and it's a 20.24. I actually watched this world record swim, and it was set by Caeleb Dressel at the 2019 ISL Grand Final in Las Vegas. If you want to check out that video, I actually filmed it, and I got to watch him take the world record away by just a couple hundredths of a second from the Frenchman Flo Manadou. Awesome race. Check it out, linked in the description below. Caeleb Dressel also holds an insane 17.63 as the US Open, fastest time in a 50-yard, 25-yard pool, 50-yard freestyle. If you want to see a full analysis of how he goes that fast, make sure you check out that Whiteboard Wednesday I did on how he went to 17.63. And we'll be using Caeleb Dressel as a sort of a case study in breaking down his swim, because he is currently the fastest swimmer in the world in all three courses. Now, if you're wondering how fast does that actually mean these athletes are going, how fast is Caeleb Dressel going, or was Cielo going when he went 20.91? Well, in terms of absolute speed and velocity, that's 2.39 meters per second. So that's how fast a 20.91 is. Well, what does that actually mean? We don't really use meters per second, but in terms of kilometers an hour, that's 8.6 kilometers per hour, 5.3 miles per hour. That's a pretty good jogging pace. That's how fast these swimmers are going at the top end, top speed. Now on the women's side, the world record in the 50-meter freestyle is a 23.67. That's Sarah Sjöström of Sweden. I believe she did that in 2017. Super, super fast. The world record in short course meters is about 0.7 faster at a 22.93. Fastest time, Weitzel with a 20.9. Whoo, dropping the 20 point in a short course yard pool. And if you equate what Sjöström's 23.67 equals, that's 2.11 meters per second, which is about 7.5 kilometers an hour, which is a blazing 4.7 miles per hour. Still a pretty good pace. Now, let's do some comparables to see how these times have actually developed over time, because if we want to look at the future, we might want to look at the past and see how the sport is progressing. Here's a couple of interesting comparables. If you look at fin swimming, so what is a human capable of going with fins underwater with a bodysuit? This is actually a sport in its own, and the world record is a 13.85 in a 50-meter pool. That's right, that is absolutely insane. That's 3.6 meters per second, 12.9 kilometers an hour, and that is a rockin' 8.1 miles per hour. Now that is real jogging pace, ladies and gentlemen. So that's really, really fast. But we know, maybe that's a little bit unrealistic for a swimmer to go 13 seconds on top of the water, but we know it can be done under the water. Now let's see how these times have progressed over time. If we take a look back at 1988, the men's 50 long course free record was a 22.14. That was Matt Biondi. What a stud. To give you an idea of just how fast that was, and this is about my age, a little bit over 30 years old. In that time, I believe Matt Biondi held the world record for over 10 years. Guys weren't going 21 seconds until the 2000s. Remember, Popov, the Russian rocket, right? So this time has really progressed significantly now that we're at 20.91, a little bit over a second drop. but it took us about 30 years to get there. Now let's take a look at the women's side. And in 1984, Dara Torres broke the world record going at 25.61. What's remarkable is the fact that Dara Torres competed with Michael Phelps on the Olympic team, who's a more recent name, and she competed over 5 Olympic Games, I believe. Absolutely amazing. But as you can see, the world record on the women's side has actually dropped even more significantly, almost 2 full seconds in just a matter of 35 or so years. So that's pretty amazing. Now let's break down the 50 freestyle, because before I want to go into any more math, let's talk about the 50 freestyle. There's really 5 parts to the race. And if we want to understand how do we keep getting faster, what is the absolute limit? Are we going to break off here? We need to understand this. So there's reaction time, hang time, underwater time, breakout time, and really all of that happens in the first 15 meters. So a lot of this isn't even swimming, right? Reaction time, let me break it down, is from when the beep goes off to your feet leaving. Now obviously there's a certain limit on how fast you can get that. Top athletes are anywhere from 0.6 to 0.7. Maybe you have a half-second reaction time thrown in there here and there. Maybe 0.48, 0.49 if you want to get crazy. But for the most part, about half a second is what a human is able to do from the beep to leaving the block. Now, let's talk about hang time. This is the actual time the athlete is in the air from the time the toes leave the block until hitting the water. If you think about punting a football, American football, the time that the ball is just hanging in the air. Then what happens when you hit the water, right? Carrying that momentum and that velocity into the water, the underwater dolphin kick is hugely important. And this is the fastest the swimmer will ever be moving. It's really the hang time into the underwater time. Then you have the breakout time, which is actually different because that's the first stroke and that's different than the rest of the swim. Now from 15 meters to 50 meters, and this doesn't really matter whether it's short course and you have a turn or it's a long course, you're pretty much going to be decelerating the entire time. So in that swim time, the fastest you're ever going to be moving is at 15 meters, and you will continue to decelerate all the way through 50 meters. If you have a short course pool and you have a flip turn, you're going to increase your speed when you get that push off the wall, and then you're just going to repeat this process and you're going to decelerate. So instead of 5 stages, maybe it's 10 stages because you just repeat this. Now, if you look at this graph right here, I have velocity charted out over distance, and if we look at only from 15 meters to 50 meters, the red line represents the velocity. And as you can see, it's pretty much decreasing the entire time. And the dotted line, which is in green, represents the average speed over the course of the 15 meters to 50 meters. As you can see, the swimmer, the athlete, whether it's Dressel or anyone else, is moving faster than their average rate of speed over the course of the 50. So this is 2.39 meters per second, which is the current world record. And these athletes, whether it's Dressel, Caeleb, Flomanidou, Soistrom, anyone you pick, they're actually going to be moving faster than their average rate of speed from the beginning, which is why it's so important that we often focus on the start, the underwaters, because that really is the fastest and that sets you up for the rest of the 50. And by the end of the 50, you're moving actually pretty slow relative to the beginning of the race. And if you see 2 athletes and they're racing next to each other and it's so close and all of a sudden it looks like one of the swimmers pulls away and it looks like they're accelerating. They're not actually accelerating. What's really happening is the other swimmer is just slowing down faster than the swimmer in the lead. So in other words, they're not accelerating, they're just slowing down less quickly than the person in the lane next to them. So that's a little bit of overview. Now let's get back to the actual metrics here. Let's take Caeleb Dressel's 2017 and 2019 World Championship swims, where he went 21-1 in the 50 free. And then we're going to reveal what I think Caeleb Dressel's theoretical max is right here. I'm going to reveal also at what point do I think we'll see a 19-second 50 free long course, at what point we'll see a 16-second 50 free in short course on the men's side, and when we'll see the 22-second in the 50 free long course on the women's side. Now, if we analyze these swims and we break it up from 0 to 15, 15 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to 50, what the average speed is in meters per second, we can really get an understanding of how this works, how we actually start out in the fastest from 0 to 15, and we just decelerate over the course of the whole 50. Now, I want to give a big thank you to Charlie Schmerker for coming up with these metrics, and then I just kind of modified them to give us our theoretical options. But in 2017 and 19, Caeleb Dressel averaged 3 meters per second to 3.13 meters per second. In 2019, he decelerated from 15 meters to 25 meters down to 2.27 meters per second. And then the next 10 meters, 2.17 meters per second, and averaging 2.07 seconds in the final 15 meters. So as you can see, getting slower. The same thing happened in 2017, going from 3 to 2.3 to 2.1 to 2. So if we take the best case scenario, if someone like a Caeleb Dressel puts together the best race and they're able to improve upon themselves and focus on each of these areas and maintain their speed just a little bit better. So instead of 3.13 meters per second on average to 15 meters, 3.2 meters per second. Any top athlete, whether it's Caeleb Dressel or Flo Manidou or any of these guys, they're about 4.5 seconds from the gun to 15 meters, which if you see it in person, it's absolutely amazing. And when you see it next to someone else who might take 7 seconds, it looks absolutely ridiculous. So it's a real pleasure if you've ever seen someone go under 5 seconds to 15 meters. But if you take those best times and you put them together for someone like a Caeleb Dressel, then his theoretical max would be around 20.5. Now that number is derived from going 3.2 meters per second on the first 15 meters, then 2.4, then 2.2, then 2.1. So at every segment, he's going a little bit faster, but there's really the most significant change in the first half. And I really believe that an athlete like a Caeleb Dressel, or any male basically who's in their mid-20s, has the potential to get physically stronger and more powerful. And as ridiculous as his first 15 meters is already, I still think he has room to improve, and I think he'll say that as well. If you haven't checked out his stroke dissect, he broke down his own 17.63 and a couple other races on his YouTube channel. We'll link them in the description below. Now, what about the theoretical max of the 50 freestyle? What can we realistically go in the next 50 to 100 years? I'm going to have it pause there, and we're going to talk about something else, and we're going to come back to that at the end of the video. But if you're here with me so far, make sure you like this video and let me know in the comments what you're thinking. So what can you learn from this? And what can we take into our own swimming? And then I want to share with you what the theoretical max is. So number one is there's always room to improve. And that means that even the best athletes in the world, whether it's Dressel or Soistrom or any of these characters, they always have something to improve. And the fact that we keep pushing the times faster and faster and faster means that there's room for us to improve. So have faith that you yourself can go faster in whatever avenue. It doesn't mean you have to be chasing a world record, but you too can get faster. Number two, break down the swims into sections. As you can see, the 50 freestyle has 5 parts right here. The way we're analyzing these swims is in different pieces. So when you look at your own swimming, whether it's training for the 400 IM, the mile, open water 1500, there's different components of the race, and you can really focus your training and tailor it so that way you're really focusing on those individual segments. And that's what my third piece of advice here is, to focus on those individual segments, and that way you can really be more efficient with your time in training, whether that's in the water or out of the water. The more focused you're training, and by following a training program that has that kind of specificity, will allow you to be more physically engaged, but also mentally engaged as well. And that's really what comes down to it in the end. If you want to get faster, you got to train smarter. If you want to swim fast, you got to train fast. Now, let's get back to the charts here, and let's break down what I think the theoretical max is with assumptions. Now, those assumptions include things like rule changes. So we're not changing the 15-meter rule. We're not changing the height of the starting block. No fancy tech suits all of a sudden that you can wear. You can't wear fins. You can't wear equipment. You can't have a running start and your time starts when your feet leave or anything like that. So with the existing rules, if we can get a swimmer to continue to progress and make improvements along the way, we will see a 3.3 meters per second in the first 15 meters, which is a little bit faster than Dressel. Actually, that's a pretty solid amount faster than Dressel, but still realistic. From 15 to 25 meters, 2.5 meters per second, then 2.4, then 2.3. So as you can see, I'm still assuming that the swimmer is going to slow down. Remember, water is 800 times more resistive than air, so there's no question that the swimmer is going to get slower. And without further ado, I will reveal, if you add all those up, we're looking at a 19.22 in the long course 50-meter freestyle. And I think the equivalent of that, just doing the math on that, would be around 16 low in a short course version, and that would be an 18 in the short course meters. So for all my friends, imperial units or otherwise, 19.22. Do I think we'll see an 18? I don't really know. I don't really think it's very realistic in the next 50 to 100 years unless something changes. Something has to change with the human physique or any of the assumptions that we made. Something's got to change if we're going to see anything other than a 19. We first need to see more people go 20 before we get to 19. Now let's continue this and let's think about, well, what if we see a 19, and not just 19.22? When will we see someone break 20 seconds in the long course? When will we see someone go 16 seconds? Now that we've seen 17, we want to see 16. How long will it take? And what we can do is we can use forecast linear regression, and we can look at the world record progression over the last 30, 40 years, and we can see how fast swimmers have continued to improve, and at what point we think it'll asymptote, because obviously no one's going to go 5 seconds in the 50 free, or will they? Who knows? But realistically, we're gonna slow down our rate of improvement, and it's already started a little bit, but we continue to push the boundaries. So from the 1976 to 2009, the world record in the 50 free long course for men averaged a 0.39% drop per year, meaning every year, on average, the world record was getting better by almost 0.5%, which is actually pretty significant, especially when you consider that someone like a Matt Biondi held the world record for over 10 years. So when you factor all that in, 0.39, and that means if we just forecast linear that out from 2010, 2009, when the world record was broken, up until the magic year, we're going to average a negative 0.27% per year in time drop. So it's not going to accelerate as quickly, but we're still going to drop time every single year on average. And we will see 19 seconds in the 50 free in 2037. Woo! I know that sounds kind of depressing because we want to see it in the next year or something, but more realistically, we're not going to see a 19 long course for at least 10 to 15 years. And again, this is the model here. I'd like to see if YouTube's around in 25 years and something we can look back at this. That'll be really interesting. Now on the women's side, from 1961 to 2018, the US Open record in short course yards, and this is still on the men's side, it dropped on average of 0.36% per year. So we're talking from 21 seconds in the 50 free to 17.63. Super, super fast. So we will see a 16-second 50 freestyle in the men side, which is a 0.16% drop per year. If you notice, that's pretty low compared to the other one because Caeleb Dressel already pushed us so much past what anyone else was capable of more recently. Without further ado, we will see a 16 in 2045. I know that looks kind of sad because we want to see it now, but realistically, we are already so much better than everyone else at 17.6. It is very troubling to kind of believe that anyone who is swimming right now in competitive swimming will go 16 seconds. Realistically, let's get someone to 17, and I believe we will see plenty of 17-second 50 frees in the next couple of decades, but we won't see that 16 until maybe 2 or 3 decades from now. But there is some good news here. So let's take a look at the women's side. When will we see 22 seconds applying the same, linear regression forecasting? When will we see 22 seconds in the 50 freestyle? Is it going to be Sarah Soistrom? Maybe. I don't know. But we might see it as early as 2027. Just a reminder, the current world record is a 23.67. But Dara Torres, who could probably still throw down a good time, she went 25.61 in 1984. That was the world record. So to see 2 seconds come off that event and to see women really specialize in the 50-meter freestyle, I really believe that we're going to see this barrier broken. 23 seconds in the long course, 50-meter freestyle. Could it be Sarah Soistrom or someone else who's currently swimming right now? I believe so. I believe it will be someone who is swimming, whether they're in their 20s or their teen years. Someone is going to be breaking 23 seconds in the 50 freestyle long course woman. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit more nerdy on the math side. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys are looking for a community of swimmers who are like-minded, who are trying to get better, make sure you join our private Facebook group. We have thousands of swimmers all over the world, from beginners all the way up to former Olympians in there. Make sure you check it out, linked in the description below. If you're looking for a personalized training program, either in the water or out of the water, make sure you check out the MySwimPro app, available for iPhone or Android. We'd love to see how we can help you reach your swimming goals. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you like this video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and happy swimming.